What's going on, everyone? So, should the Los Angeles Lakers trade to get another star? It's kind of what I want to talk about. I still really do think that the Lakers would probably be best getting that just self-creator, right? A guy that can create shots, close down the stretch, help the Lakers out. Problem is, Lakers are very limited. Now, they did pull off the trade for Dorian Finney-Smith as well as Shake Milton and didn't have to give up any first, right? So the Lakers are still in play. They still have their first. They still have all their pick swaps, still have a couple seconds, right? So they still have enough assets to go get some of these other guys that are out on the market. And based on reports that have came out, right, like Rob Pelinka, as said, he's willing to trade his first, but it's got to be for like a significant piece that kind of go long-term or player or players. But you know, everyone's kind of like, okay, so basically you're only trading the first for a star, right? Okay, well, what tier? Like, where does that qualify, right? Because, like, Zach LaVine, you could go get literally, could still go get Zach LaVine and not have to give up a first, right? Like, even if you had to give up a pick swap because you don't have D'Lo's expiring contracts, like Zach LaVine with Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, right? Like, you could still go make other move, right? Lakers won't trade Austin Reeves, so you know, not that I would trade Austin Reeves for Zach LaVine because you don't have to, right? It's what I've talked about. I'm not against trading Austin Reeves, but you would not for Zach LaVine because you don't have to. If you had to, it's a different story. But you could go get that, not give up your first. There's Brandon Ingram, but you got to wait till he returns. I don't hate the idea of Brandon Ingram. Like Austin Reeves, Brandon Ingram at the 2 because he can slot in and play the 2 for you. Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis would be tough. And if it works with Brandon Ingram, beautiful. You work it out and you re-sign him. If it doesn't work, you just let him walk and you have you could free up like $70 million in cap space if LeBron wants to take a vet minimum, right? Like, you know, like the Lakers would be great at that point. Like you got all kinds, Kyrie, right? Like he could be available in the offseason. But my point is that getting somebody like that, definitely an option. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox, if he becomes available, I think De'Aaron Fox I don't think it's 0% because he is a clutch client and he can force his way to Lakers, right? If he was on like a 3-year deal, I'd be like, no chance, right? But because he is going into his final year in the offseason, he could pull in Anthony Davis and kind of force his way to the Lakers. But that's literally the only way. If he's even kind of open to anywhere else, he's going anywhere. Sacramento's the last place, or Sacramento's the last team that wants to trade him to the Lakers, right? Like, Lakers would be the last destination that they would be willing to trade him to. So, probably out on a De'Aaron Fox. Realistically, I think Brandon Ingram, Zach LaVine are the 2 guys that are cheap enough if you want like that all-star caliber guy that you can bring in and play. Beyond that, DeJounte Murray, I still would love DeJounte Murray, but what do you have to trade for Murray? I mean, they traded 2 firsts and Dyson Daniels for DeJounte Murray. They're probably going to want at least that. So you're talking 2 firsts and Austin Reeves. I'm not against trading Austin Reeves for DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is the better player. He also would fit majorly what we need, and then we could still go pivot and go get another piece or 2, or stick with Max Christie or whatever, however you want to approach it, but you could still go get another piece. My problem is I don't think I would trade both first and Austin Reeves, right? Like if you could do like a first in Reeves, sure. I think that's worth DeJounte Murray. Obviously, you'd have to add like a Rui or whatever, but no, and bring in DeJounte Murray. But 2 firsts plus Reeves, and then, of course, again, the salary filler. I think it's a lot, right, for DeJounte Murray that, people have said like, oh, he's struggling. The guy's been playing with a bunch of G League guys. Like the entire roster is hurt. Right? Like, it's very different when you're playing with a bunch of guys you can't even name and you're playing with the Lakers with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, it's a big difference. Things get so much easier when you have a guy like an Anthony Davis. Plus, he'd be a good long-term piece. So I don't hate the idea of DeJounte Murray. Go DeJounte Murray and like Walker Kessler would be A1. Outside of that, there's just it's like the smaller, minor moves. Nikola Vucevic is probably the best center you could get, like as far as like all together, like what he can do and what he can provide. My problem with going and getting like a starting caliber center is now LeBron's got to play the 3. And is that really best for the team and LeBron? Even if LeBron's willing to do that, is that really what's best for the team? And I don't mean in the sense of team, like how does it make us perform. I'm talking about like if you wear down LeBron or he gets hurt, you're not winning anything anyway, right? Like, because now LeBron has to do all the things that are required with being a three, which means he has to rebound, he has to defend, and be active and physical out there on the defense side of things. He's responsible for all the strong side action. Like it's a lot to go into in that regard. Now, could you do something where you kind of mask stuff, right? Like, so maybe on defense, LeBron is slotted at the four for like weak side help. But then that defeats the purpose of Anthony Davis being your four, because now he can be the help defender to mask all of Vu's issues, right? So it's just like, I don't know about that, right? Like, could you do like that like Alonzo? But Lonzo's hurt, and can he stay healthy? Like, Lonzo would be ideal for the Lakers, but it's just, like, the problem is there's not that like clear-cut star right now that's available, right? Like, there's not that guy you look at and go, man, that's the guy. That's the guy we need to get, right? Like, that just isn't a thing right now, which is frustrating, because I wish there was like that guy, the one that's like, that's it, that's the guy. Like, Zach LaVine's probably the closest, but I do understand like the financials and stuff like that go into it. So I mean, and this is kind of where the dilemma lies, right? Like, the Lakers, there's not these like excellent options. Like, even Brandon Ingram. I like Brandon Ingram. I think he makes a lot of sense, but I do worry about the fit, right? With him, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Brandon Ingram's best with the ball in his hands. Off ball, he's not the greatest, right? Like, Zach LaVine's better off ball than Brandon Ingram is. But you can argue, like, Brandon Ingram kind of gives you what you need as far as that, like, closer down the stretch, guy that can hit shots, operate in the mid-range, knock down the three ball, long, lengthy, can defend, slot him alongside Dorian Finney-Smith, have Anthony Davis in the backcourt, or in the front court. Long, lengthy, right, with, like, Reeves 6'5", you'd have Brandon Ingram, who's 6'8", 6'9", Dorian Finney-Smith 6'7", 6'8", LeBron James, 6'9", Anthony Davis, right? Like, you're big, you're long, you're lengthy, you're versatile. Like, I don't hate the idea. Another alternative would be like, I've seen people throw out like Sabonis. Like, if, like, say we can't get Fox, do you go after Sabonis? But is he like, how much sense does he make next to Anthony? Like, yes, obviously, the guy can get you a near triple-double every night. But again, you have LeBron, right? Like, long-term, he makes a lot of sense. But it's just like, do you really need, like, a star center, right? And Sabonis has not been great in the playoffs, right? People worry about D'Angelo Russell. So you got that. DeMar DeRozan, if he became available, right? He's a guy that myself and many others wanted in the offseason. I still think he'd be better on the Lakers, right? Because, again, the reason I said he wasn't going to work in Sacramento, which turned out to be true, and why I said it makes sense for the Lakers and Miami and some of these other teams, and it doesn't make sense for Sacramento, is because Sacramento already had guys that do exactly what DeMar DeRozan does. Lakers don't have that guy. Lakers don't have that guy that can just get to his spots, pick and choose, shoot over the top, score in a multitude of ways. Like, Reeves is very pretty. Like, what Reeves wants to do. DeMar DeRozan, he can be creative. He can shoot over either shoulder, right? He can shoot over the top, get to his spots, shoot on each elbow, right? It's a three-point shooting that's a concern. But if I'm being honest, at this point, I'd probably stay away from DeMar DeRozan, unless you could essentially just get him for free, right? They were just like, you know what? We want to get off of DeMar, and maybe Rui will keep whatever, De'Aaron Fox. Then, like, sure, like, maybe. I think it's at least something that you entertain, you listen to, maybe potentially explore, but it's not something I would like jump to. And this is the thing. It's like, luckily the Lakers, if we're being honest, could probably do all of the moves that they want to make and not have to give up a first. Because if you were going to give up a first for anything, it would have been the 3-and-D Wayne. Well, they just got it in Dorian Finney-Smith, and they didn't have to give up a first. Right? Like, a guy like Bruce Brown, who I want, you shouldn't have to give up a first for Bruce Brown. He probably, a pick swap maybe, sure, so that way you can keep your seconds and go get a Valanciunas. Like, I think that's probably the most likely, right, is Valanciunas and Bruce Brown, if I'm being honest. But, outside of that, it's like, what else? And that's where the dilemma lies, right? The Lakers, there's not really anything else that's worth first-round picks. Like, even Brandon Ingram, I probably wouldn't give a first for. It's like, you're not going to get anything from him. Like, maybe a pick swap in 2 seconds, but I'd try to keep my first. Because I'd be like, look, if it doesn't work, he's gone, and I'm just out of first. Right? Like, and I don't think that they would get a first for anybody. Right? So if you're the Lakers, you're like, dude, would you rather have a pick swap and 2 firsts, or would you rather have nothing and he just leaves you in the offseason? Right? Like, I think that they would probably do it. It's an interesting spot to be in. But Lakers, I mean, if they can get a star, they would prefer a star. But do you want a star, right? Or are you the star? You're the star. But in all seriousness, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Is there a particular star that you like? Do you want to see the Lakers even get a star? Do you think, no, stay as far away from stars as possible? It doesn't matter who that star is. De'Aaron Fox, if there's any chance you can get De'Aaron Fox, you trade for De'Aaron Fox. Any chance. Whatever you have to give up, you give up to go get De'Aaron Fox. Outside of that, I think it's just kind of like preference. Like DeJounte Murray, I would trade for. Zach LaVine, obviously, I'd still trade for. I mean, I said my ideal scenario was Walker Kessler, Zach LaVine, and Dorian Finney-Smith, and I got one of the 3. So hold tight. But outside of that, it's just like, who else? But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.